Welcome to Digital Teaching and Learning in the Arts, tools for presenting artworks digitally by the Georgia Department of Education. I'm Jessica Booth, Fine Arts Program Manager, and I'll be your guide through this session. Given the hands-on nature of visual art, it's natural to assume that digital teaching and learning for K-12 art, a project-based class, would be difficult. But just as art is constantly evolving, so is the nature of arts education. In a survey of K-12 Georgia art educators, about how they adapted art classrooms for digital teaching and learning, Georgia educators responded with a lot of the innovative approaches they are using in their classrooms to teach the Georgia Standards of Excellence for Visual Art and engage their art students. We will go over their suggestions in this session, talk about how structure sets your classes up for success, how communication is always key, and I'll give you some tips and tricks to set you up for the year. Finally, I'll lead you into a dive into Flipgrid, which is a free platform teachers are using to have students interact with artworks. It was actually the most discussed free tool in our survey. Now, if you haven't taken the Just in Time for Teachers Digital Learning Days course by the Georgia Virtual School, a division of the Georgia Department of Education, check it out. It gives many helpful suggestions, it's free, and it introduces the technology standards. In the Just in Time for Digital Learning course, featured in the professional development portion of this training, the Georgia Department of Education Georgia Virtual School Division includes a list of suggested platforms for teaching and learning digitally. However, every school district has specific requirements and expectations. Be sure to check with your district's approved technology resources prior to planning for digital teaching and learning to save yourself some time down the road. It's important to remember that there's no one-size-fits-all model of digital teaching and learning. Take the time to experiment and discover what works best for you and your students. This set of tools are for communicating with students. Videos, audio recordings, and animations are all engaging ways to present materials, create step-by-step demonstration guides, or give your students feedback. This set of tools are best for communicating with students visually. They can make great interactive presentations, a class newsletter, or remind students and parents about an upcoming assignment. This set of tools can be a collaborative space for students to interact for art critiques, for you to present your videos for demonstrations, and for students to submit artwork for feedback from their peers and from you. These tools help to create formative and summative assessments in addition to the student's final artwork, which is most commonly used as the summative assessment in our subject area. Georgia art educators are creating and delivering content to their students using a combination of synchronous and asynchronous digital teaching and learning methods. They're using a variety of digital tools in their educational arsenal. And most of our teachers are taking advantage of their district-approved and purchased platforms, such as Google Classroom or Microsoft Office 365. They're using these to create and present content to their students. Art educators are also taking time to create their own new digital art lessons, using previously made art lessons and altering them to suit digital teaching and learning. They're finding new art lessons, they're finding new digital resources and content online, and they're sharing it with their students either synchronously or asynchronously. Social media is a popular, powerful, and creative tool to engage students in active art making, especially since most of our students are already using social media outlets outside of school. Some art teachers we polled created private classroom social media accounts. That way students and parents could interact. These platforms allow unique project challenges using the various creation tools within each application. Some teachers created a classroom-specific hashtag to develop a sense of community and collaboration between the teachers, students, and parents on that platform. Other teachers we polled are using these platforms to actually teach the art concepts. They're posting short videos on TikTok and hosting live sessions on Facebook that are recorded and can be viewed later if needed on YouTube. It's important to remember that the use of social media in any educational setting must be district approved. Some social media platforms require personal information to sign up and log in, so be sure that you have parental consent for student use and your principal's approval prior to incorporating it as part of your digital teaching and learning plan. Educators are also choosing to incorporate other free online platforms in an asynchronous manner, such as YouTube, PBS Learning Media, Discovery Education, and the Georgia Home Classroom, which was recently created by GPB and the Georgia Department of Education. It shares content-specific lessons, ideas, and instructions for projects and assignments. Most websites for Georgia art museums and arts education partners, such as the High Museum of Art, The Booth Museum of Western Art, the Museum of Design Atlanta, and Arts Now Learning have free educational content for teachers and students that some educators have been using in their digital lessons already. In the past 2 years, the Georgia Department of Education's Fine Arts Department has created thousands of instructional resources. They include year-long scope and sequences for classes, unit plans, lesson plans, teacher samples, presentations, videos, and assessments. They're all downloadable from the Teacher Resource Link, or TRL. If you don't have access to the TRL, you can also download them from a Word document found on the GaDOE Fine Arts webpage, where you found this course. Shooting videos for teacher demonstrations and for step-by-step instructions for a project or how to upload to and interact with a new digital tool are one of the keys to reaching students with different learning styles and abilities while teaching online. Just remember to be informal. Your videos don't have to be perfect. Let the students see your personality. But remember, lighting matters in visual art. We're going to join Georgia art educator Dana Munson as she goes over how to light demonstrations effectively and shoot videos like a pro at home, even if you don't have the pro equipment.
You need to shoot videos at home to show how you demo your work for your students? You can do it with some real low-tech things. You don't have to have fancy things like a very fancy tripod. As a matter of fact, one of the most important things that you need is light. One thing you could do is set your desk in front of a window. If you don't have that, you can always get some easy adjustable lights. Hey Google, turn on the light. And look how much better the video is already. And this is a really good just adjustable light that helps light up my workspace so that I can do my demo videos. This is a really cheap tripod. It's great. It moves it around. It's very bendy, and you can put your iPhone on here. Did you know movies have even been filmed on iPhones? So they're a great way to film yours. You don't have to have anything fancy like a camera. The other thing is, please don't do your video in portrait. You always want to make sure you do your video in landscape mode. But let's say you don't have a tripod and you need to do a demo. All right, there's another low-tech answer. Put all of these great boxes that you've been getting your stuff in to good use. So I'm going to stack up some boxes, and then I'll turn on my phone, put it in landscape mode, and I'm going to put it right over my demo area. Don't worry. Oh no, it's going to fall. Even more low tech. I will put this here, and it's kind of okay. It's okay if a little bit of the box shows. But now I can do my demo from here. And one of the things to kind of remember too is that you want to hold whatever you're doing for your demo so that it will look like it's top down for whomever's looking at it. And you might have to move your demo into screen, but it makes for a really good video for your students. It's almost like they could see it even better than if you had a whole crowd of them in front of you. One last thing to remember is be close to your microphone when you're speaking, or use your earbuds and your microphone is even closer. That way you'll have really good sound too. Have fun making videos.
Structure in the virtual classroom and having a routine is going to be key to your students being successful in the art room this year. Relationships matter. In a traditional classroom setting, the first few weeks of school are when a routine and structure are taught to students. Getting to know your students and building a classroom community are always first day activities in most classrooms. Now, how to enter class, use materials, interact with other students, submit assignments, and clean up are as much behavior management tools as day-to-day activities. You're going to need to set your virtual classroom up the same way. Set virtual classroom expectations and then model how to respond and act in an online space. Routine is your new BFF. Establish a set routine for your weekly class sessions. It may seem boring, but it will really help. For example, a best practice for online visual art education is to introduce your projects the same day each week to students and have them do the same day each week. You should also assign student reflections and critiques on a set schedule. You're going to need to create a consistent lesson structure. The more consistent you make the process, the easier it will be for students and for you to adapt to your virtual routine. Setting office hours for students and parents to ask questions instead of being on demand by email is always a good idea. It can be exhausting to feel on all the time. Setting these hours will help set boundaries for students and will give you time to plan. Make sure instructions are clear and concise. You want to reduce your text as much as possible and provide video teacher demonstrations in addition to the written instructions. That way students can watch them over and over again to get the concepts. Express the GSE in each lesson. You'll really need to spell out the standard in your instructions and video demonstrations. Providing in-process feedback is vital to visual arts education. Utilize a synchronous session for student feedback. It will save you hours of time, and it's often hard for students to visualize what your comments are actually saying. Make sure you communicate the assessment when introducing your lessons. That way students know how to be successful and can gauge their process on a rubric. Let me show you a media arts example. One Georgia teacher created an engaging project for her students by developing her own curriculum using several apps within Office 365, her district-approved platform. Using Microsoft Teams, she hosted virtual class times to check in with students and provide feedback, teach new concepts, demonstrate new techniques, and communicate important information for students. She developed her own project using Microsoft Word with detailed instructions for her students to create their presentations on a contemporary artist. Sending that out to students via Teams, she asked students to use Microsoft PowerPoint to present their final products. The students were asked to pick and create a dynamic presentation with at least 15 examples of the artist's work. Once the students presented their artists in a video, the products were submitted and stored in a share folder in Office 365 OneDrive for teacher feedback and grading purposes. Many art teachers surveyed were using pre-approved platforms by their district, such as a Google Classroom or Microsoft Teams. In addition to free platforms like Padlet and Flipgrid that allow students to record artist statements, upload in-process and completed artworks, and share their individual journal assignments for teacher feedback and even peer review. In another example, 2 Georgia teachers played digital bingo with their students. The teachers used their district-approved platform, which was Google Classroom, for all communication and collaboration between students. They sent an asynchronous assignment in the form of a bingo board with detailed instructions to the students through Google Classroom. They also used screen recording apps such as Screencast-O-Matic, which is free, to provide students with additional support as needed. Each week, students had to complete each bingo box at their own pace, and then they submitted their work as they completed it back to the art teacher through Google Classroom using Google Docs. In this visual arts module, we have discussed many free tools you can use in conjunction with your district-approved platform. Let's take a closer look and walk through an art project using Flipgrid for assignment submission, a class art critique, and then teacher formative feedback before the assessment. Flipgrid is a free application for educators, and it came up so many times from our arts educators surveyed. This teacher adapted a previous art lesson using a combination of synchronous and asynchronous methods to teach the unit using her district-approved platform, which was Office 365. She then used Microsoft Teams to hold a live virtual class with her students to teach the concept of the color wheel, as well as to introduce and explain the activity and assignment. This could also be done in a Google Hangout, Zoom, or Skype. She had her students in 3rd grade find items around their house to create a found object color wheel. The students then took a picture of it and submitted it to Flipgrid. Each student then had to comment on each other's artwork in Flipgrid as a in-process critique. Notice that she delivered the demonstrations of the lessons synchronously, but the student assignment was asynchronous in nature, giving students time to complete the assignment at their own pace. The teacher was available to answer questions during her official digital office hours via Microsoft Teams, and a video was recorded that the teacher could reuse next year of a demonstration, and brief direct instructions were also given to students that could be reused. The structure of the lesson followed the structure used since the beginning of the course. Students had a week to complete this after their initial live session was held. Let's look at Flipgrid now. Educators can create free accounts in Flipgrid. The application is designed for the teacher to add topics, which are often used as units and projects. Students are given a code to log in that keeps the topic secure. Topics can have your demo videos added to them. This allows you to set up a project like the example seen and have students watch your demo video, comment on each other's work, upload assignments, and receive your private teacher feedback, all in one place. That's why it's been so popular with the teachers we've polled. These are some ways Flipgrid is being used K-12 from their website. Individual teacher topics live on a grid. Teachers who were using the platform said they created a grid for each class and then posted assignments as the topics. Only the students with that class code can see any of the assignments, comments, or artworks. Let's watch how to create a topic on a class grid. In the topics, teachers get to choose how long the recording will be and how long students' recordings can be. In this case, 1 minute and 30 seconds is the maximum time that students can use to respond to the topic. A 1 minute and 30-second video may seem like a short amount of time, but it should be plenty for each student to introduce themselves and tell a little bit about themselves. Students can upload GIFs, photographs, and pictures of their artwork as well. Teachers can also put in a tip for the topic and any kind of attachments. Flipgrid's a pretty versatile tool. You can moderate the video, and you can click a button to allow student-to-student replies so they can comment on each other's artwork. There's also some really nice video features as far as video editing. It allows you to put in titles, and it gives students an opportunity to have a voice in your class outside of just typing. Finally, Flipgrid also allows for custom feedback for students. There's basic feedback that can be seen by the entire class, but with custom feedback, only the student sees the teacher feedback. That's always helpful when trying to provide formative assessment for students. After students upload their artwork, they can comment on each other's an online critique like the example above. And students can record short videos to upload with their artist statement or to describe the work of an artist that has been assigned. I hope you learned some new tools to teach visual art online that you can incorporate into your system-approved digital platform.